Good morning and welcome to Korea Today live from Seoul.
President Park Geun-hye and British Prime Minister David Cameron have agreed to double trade and investment by 2020 to some $65 billion and signed 18 MOUs on nuclear energy and financial cooperation.
The man in question, or perhaps with answers, returns home after being grilled by prosecutors for some 9 hours. More coming up in the headlines.
And we have new developments on the large-scale Eurasian Railway project coming up on In Print.
On this Thursday, Korean high school seniors take the test of their lives. We have details of this year's college scholastic ability test coming up.
1,000 degrees of heat to transform sand into glass. From traditional glass designs to large modern sculptures, we take a look at the endless possibilities of glassware. And it's the only province in Korea that sits inland. North Chungcheong Province hides many charms tucked away from the waterfront. We check out the freshwater fish cuisine on Thursday, November 7th, 2013.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
Good to have you with us on this Thursday morning. It's a nerve-wracking morning for some 650,000 students here in Korea, not to mention the parents of those students.
That's right, and you heard it from Ji-sun. It is the test of their lives. It's known as the Sunung here in Korea. It's the College Scholastic Ability Test, and it'll be given in exactly 1,257 locations across the peninsula beginning at 8:40 a.m. Now, to assist the students in getting there on time, workers will be able to go to work 1 hour later. Work starts officially at 10, and also the stock market will be open an hour later as well. And this is how big this is. Flights, commercial flights coming in and out of Korea will be banned from flight for 40 minutes during a very critical portion of the exam, which is the English listening part.
I'm really nervous for the students, and I don't think any of the test takers are watching at this moment. They shouldn't be watching us.
They shouldn't be. They should be getting ready.
Still, best of luck to you. Knock it out of the park. Let's do a fighting the Korean style.
All right.
Fighting.
Fighting.
All right, let's begin Korea Today on this Thursday morning with a check of the day's headlines.
That fighting comes from me too, but now let's talk about the president. President Park Geun-hye, who's being pampered quite literally with royal treatment in the United Kingdom, sat down with British Prime Minister David Cameron on Wednesday local time. The two leaders set a goal of increasing bilateral trade to $20 billion, double the current volume, and investment to $45 billion by the year 2020. Now, Seoul and London's financial authorities agreed to work towards holding regular private and public cooperative talks to collaboratively target markets in other countries.
산업 발전, 또 같이 그렇게 해서 제3국에 진출하는 이런 그 진출을 지원을 하는 것, 이렇게 여러 다층적인 그 기반을 구축하게 된 것을 기쁘게 생각을 합니다.
Now, another sector highlighted during the summit was nuclear power and energy-related technology. President Park will head over to Brussels on Thursday on the last leg of her Europe tour. She will hold bilateral talks with the Belgian Prime Minister as well as leaders of the EU Commission and European Council. Now, if you have been following this story, this won't come as a surprise given the amount of attention on it. But if you haven't, this is a good time to catch up. Now, this is how many people gathered at the Seoul Central District Prosecutor's Office slightly before 2 p.m. on Wednesday. Half of them supporters, the other half the media. And we're talking about Representative Moon Jae-in, who showed up to answer some of the prosecution's questions regarding what happened to the 2007 Inter-Korean Summit transcript. And he stepped out some 9 hours later.
Isn't it only natural that the first draft would not be transferred to the State Archive since a revised draft was reported to the President? I believe this will have cleared up any misunderstandings.
Now, Moon, who was in charge of organizing the 2007 summit, also told reporters late President Roh Moo-hyun did order a revision of the initial draft, but did not mention whether Roh ordered his staff to delete the original transcript. But insiders say the prosecution believes Roh did indeed. Moon added the real focus of the investigation should be on how ruling party members got their hands on the presidential documents. All of this, of course, comes after late Liberal President Roh was accused by the ruling party of conceding to Pyongyang, and after the prosecution concluded the transcript never made it to the state archives. And if you think what you just saw going on in front of the Seoul prosecutor's office was quite a scene, wait until you see this. 5 lawmakers from the leftist Unified Progressive Party on the verge of being dissolved by the government shaved their heads in protest of the government's petition. The minor opposition legislators have also gone on hunger strike, and their supporters continue to hold candlelight vigils in downtown Seoul. But the ruling Saenuri Party says the North Korean sympathizing faction should not set foot in South Korea's parliament. This comes after UPP lawmaker Lee Seok-gi in September was arrested for allegedly having strong ties with a North Korean espionage group, and a day after the Justice Ministry filed a petition to the Constitutional Court to disband the UPP. It seems like a tangled ball of yarn that is impossible to unravel at this point when it comes to bilateral relations between Korea and Japan. And some say this following development will likely strain ties even further. 3 major Japanese economic organizations released a statement Wednesday saying a series of recent Korean court rulings to have a number of Japanese firms compensate for the Koreans who were forced into wartime labor would seriously hinder bilateral investment and trade. The statement goes on to reiterate the Japanese government's original stance that all compensation issues concerning Japan's colonization of Korea were settled under a 1965 treaty signed by the 2 countries. Korea's foreign ministry has not given an official response.
And good morning, everyone. Getting fair attention on the front pages this morning is former right-hand man to the late President Roh Moo-hyun and failed presidential candidate / lawmaker Moon Jae-in and his questioning session with prosecutors yesterday. Let's go ahead and take a look at the story on Gyeongyang Shinmun. Its headline right here captures Moon's position, and it reads, "The NLL was definitely defended and the transcript is well intact." This is what he said heading into the questioning session yesterday afternoon, and 9 hours later at around 11:30 last night, he told awaiting reporters that he believes he sufficiently cleared out prosecutors' misunderstandings on the issue they held on the non-transfer of the 2007 inter-Korean transcripts to the National Archives. Meanwhile, the front page image might have caught your eye as well. It's a picture of the 5 Unified Progressive Party lawmakers, sans Lee Seok-gi, getting their heads shaved in protest to the government's recent request to the Constitutional Court to dissolve their party. The protest was held in front of the National Assembly yesterday. Scooting right over to our next daily for today, 동아일보 took a survey yesterday on what the people thought of the government's request and found that 6 out of 10 said filing for disbanding of UPP is appropriate. The survey was conducted on some 700 adult men and women, of which 60% said it was an appropriate move, while 28.5%, that's in the light blue there, said it was inappropriate. 11.4% were undecided or opted not to give an answer, and the margin of error on that survey, by the way, was 3.7%. And on the front page of 조선일보 today appears to show a few students closely reading an announcement post on the glass. The image title reads, "CSAT today, morning rain in Seoul metropolitan area." The caption says some 650,000 test takers will converge on some 1,257 locations across the country to take that all-important Korean college entrance exam today. These students are among them. They are checking their seat assignments posted at their school entrance yesterday, and certainly best of luck once again to all of them. Let's go ahead and wrap things up with a look at Made Business newspaper. We'll go ahead and take a look at that story over there. Headline reads 34% investment quota suggested for South in North Korea-Russia railway project. This is an update on a story we brought you before, and Made reports that a consortium of local companies, including POSCO, Korail, and the Hyundai Merchant Marine Company, are in talks with Russia to take part in the Euro-Asian railway project. Now, currently, the cost of the project is divided up 70-30 between Russia and North Korea, respectively. But according to the article, Russia is suggesting that Seoul take on about a third of that pie, making the division Russia 35.7%, South Korea 34.3%, and North Korea 30%. Now, the large-scale railway project would cross through Siberia to connect Russia's Moscow, Vladivostok, North Korea's Rajin, and South Korea's port city of Busan. Now, that route between Rajin and Busan would be a sea route. The newspaper says that Seoul and Moscow could come to an MOU as early as this month. And with that, we'll wrap your look at what's in print on this Thursday. Next up, your closing numbers from Wednesday's market action.
Today is Suneung Day, or the college entrance exam day, but it happens to be Ipdong, also the start of winter. Hope the weather isn't too cold for the test takers.
That's right. Generally, traditionally, we see a lot of cold weather on the Suneung
We call it
test day.
Suneung Hanpa. None of that today. So let's take a closer look at the weather conditions with our Lee Da-mi, who joins us from outdoors. Good morning to you.
Good morning. It looks like she's taking the Suneung.
Good morning, everyone. Today I'm reporting live from Seocho-gu Seoul. No, I will not be taking the exam, thank God. This morning, today is a big day, as it is the day where seniors in Korea will be taking the college scholastic ability test. But for the weather, it is Ipdong here in Korea, which is the beginning of winter according to the lunar calendar. Thankfully, conditions or the temperatures this morning aren't as cold as they were compared to last year. Lows are at 10 degrees Celsius. There are signs of gusty winds, but like I said, it's not as cold. Now, as for this morning, I wish I could say that we're starting off with bright and sunny skies, but as you can see, it is a bit hazy and skies are mostly cloudy. We may receive chances of light showers, so maybe you might want to carry a portable umbrella with you. Also, it looks like the level of fine dust is quite high, and it would be wise to wear a mask this morning. With that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the numbers around the nation. Here in Seoul, highs will reach up to the mid-teens. Daejeon at 17, Daegu and Jeju at 19, Gangneung and Gwangju at 18, while Busan will be the warmest at 22. It looks like over the weekend, we will be seeing mostly cloudy skies and rain for 2 consecutive days. Once the conditions clear up, lows will dip down quite a bit and in the negatives for some areas starting next week. That's all I have for the weather. I'll be back in a few moments.
President Park Geun-hye is currently on her 8-day, 3-nation tour of Western Europe. Her first trip comes after a string of overseas visits, which began in May to countries such as the US, China, Russia, and Asian states. During her past 4 visits, the president heavily emphasized her sales diplomacy, and it looks like this key agenda is also a dominant drive in her tour to Europe. Especially, the economic delegation that's accompanying President Park is the largest as of yet, since many Korean small and medium-sized companies hoping to enter the EU market have joined in. Also, numerous finance specialists are part of the delegation, as one of the stops includes the UK, which is known as the Center of Global Finance. Currently, the EU is the world's largest business bloc that heavily contributes to Korea's investment and exports. This is why many are curious to see what kind of economic results will come about from President Park's Western Europe visit, and if the summits taking place can help establish more effective and stronger creative economy partnerships between Korea and the EU.
And to help us quench that curiosity, we have Professor Shin Sang-hyuk from Kyung University joining us in the studio this morning. Thank you for being here, Professor.
Good morning.
So President Park, this is her fifth official overseas trips. So how is this one different from the other past 4 trips that she made in economic terms?
Well, first of all, she emphasized the role of the small and medium-sized enterprises. So at the summit talks with the French President Hollande, she emphasized the cooperation between the 2 countries, particularly among the small and medium-sized enterprises. And she even emphasized that the cooperation among the small and medium-sized enterprises between 2 countries will be a kind of one of the most important factors determining the future economic relations between Korea and France. And second one is actually, as you know very well, she emphasized the cooperations in the creative industries between 2 countries. She has emphasized the so-called creative economy, and she has taken the creative economic drive since she became the president of Korea. So I think owing to her emphasis on the creative industries, we can expect the more cooperation between Korea and EU in this field.
So it would be fair to say that in the past you would have emphasized more on the sales diplomacy, but this time it was more on boosting and enhancing cooperative ties in terms of using the concept of creative economy.
Well, as a whole, yes, the President Park emphasized the so-called the sales diplomacy, but this time, as you pointed out, she discussed more detailed things, how to strengthen the mutual economic cooperations, bilateral cooperations with the European countries.
All right. So far, what would you say is the most notable outcome? Although, the trip has not ended yet, but so far, what would you say is the most notable outcome?
If I add something, well, the highlight of her visit to France was the summit talk with the President Hollande. At the summit talk, she emphasized the mutual cooperation, as I said before, in the creative industries. You know, France has been the one of the powers in the high technology, the power, as well as the financial power in the world. So I think for her, she's seeking for so-called creative economy. I think France can be an ideal partner for Korea. And UK is also the center of the global finances.
Of course.
And then, as you know, London financial market is one of the 3 largest the financial market in the world. So I think the UK and France seem to be the ideal partners for the Korea, particularly for President Park, who is seeking for creative economy.
So also to note that she, both in France and the UK, she held a forum type of, and she made speech. She made a speech to economic leaders of both countries.
With the local businessman, she had the forums and then some meetings
in their native language.
Yes. And they discussed about how to strengthen the cooperation in the small and medium-sized enterprises activities. I think, as I explained at the beginning of my the explanation, both sides, try to strengthen the role or contribution of the small and medium-sized enterprises in the future economic cooperation between Korea and European Union, EU. And to do that, to listen some opinions from the local businessmen, I think seem to be very important.
Right.
And then in this context, she had the meetings with the French businessmen, and while she's visiting the UK, she has also the meeting with the business leaders in the UK.
So speaking of the EU, let's talk about her upcoming schedule. She will head over to Brussels now, and she will hold bilateral talks with the Belgian Prime Minister as well as other EU leaders. So what would be some of the topics that would that the president would focus on?
Well, along with the economic issues, she emphasized the so-called enrichment of the mutual cultural exchange. She emphasized the importance of culture in the relationship between Korea and the European countries, particularly while she is visiting to the Brussels. Those things will be also re-emphasized by the president. But one thing which is very important is the how smoothly implementation of the Korea-EU FTA. The Korea-EU FTA was signed 2 years ago. But for the last 2 years, there were some up and downs in the outcomes of the Korea-EU FTA. For the last 2 years, Korean export to European Union has been reduced.
Right.
Particularly for the last 1 year, for second year, which means the beginning of the July 2012 to the end of May, the Korean exports to European Union reduced by 7.7%. But the imports from the European Union increased for the 2 years. For the same period which I mentioned, for the second year of the Korea-EU FTA, the Korean imports from the European Union has increased by 7%. So I think this will be one of the key issues which the leaders will discuss.
Okay, and how would those results, what she did in France, in Britain, and what she will do in Belgium, how would those results affect the Korean economy as well as the Korean businesses and consumers in Korea?
We have to wait, but it's too early to say that. But as I said before, both leaders will discuss about how to smoothly implement the Korea-EU FTA. And then Korean exports to EU for the last 2 years since the establishment of the Korea-EU FTA has been reduced. So maybe through this discussion, which President Park had during her visit with the European leaders, I think the Korean companies' exports, in particular small and medium enterprises exports to European Union, expect to increase a little bit more. And yes, I think that will be one of the our expectations we have.
So just before I let you go, very briefly, so she emphasized developing new growth engines between Korea and Europe.
Yes.
So to what degree are we talking about here of existing cooperation, and what is Korea trying to push ahead with in terms of the sectors?
Yes, that's a very important question, I think, that with the European countries, particularly with the French government, the Korean government has discussed very intensively how both countries can cooperate in the so-called five key industries, such as the nano and raw materials, energy and environments, and then robot and car industries. And so in those industries, the Korea and EU, particularly French government, has discussed a lot. To think about how to cooperate each other. I think that in these fields, certainly Korea and the European countries will keep on working to make progress in their efforts to work together in these fields, I think.
All right. Thank you very much, Professor Shin, for joining us this morning and sharing your insight. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Still ahead on Korea Today, Design Korea. Their sparkling beauty makes up many different products in our daily lives. We take a look at glassware and various glass design goods created at 1,000 degrees. We visit an artisan who transforms traditional Korean designs into art.
All right, we're now down to the final hour before the all-important 수능, or the college entrance exam, takes place. It's the day hundreds of thousands of students have been waiting for or dreading, depends on how you want to look at it. But one thing is for sure, they will pull out all the stops today.
That's right, hundreds of thousands of students and hundreds of thousands of prayers as well. Joining us is Arirang News' Song Ji-sun to talk about some of the changes as well as revisions and also facts and figures about the 수능. Good morning.
Good morning, Ji-sun.
That's right. I don't know if you guys took the college scholastic ability test here in Korea, have you?
Oh, it was too long time ago. It was like more than 10 years ago, so I don't remember. I don't want to remember.
So did I. It was over a decade, and things have changed a lot in terms of its systems and the questionnaires and as well. But one thing has not changed, that the Korea's College Scholastic Ability Test is still a deciding factor in getting admission here in Korea. Let's take a look at the details. One shot for your life. 650,000 students, high school seniors and graduates, converge on test sites across the nation to take a test that could be the most important one of their lives. The extensive exam totals 6 hours long, from 8 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon. As the exam is so crucial for the students taking it, authorities rev up their efforts on test day. Public transportation is expanded, and planes are not allowed to take off or land during the listening section of the English test. Public officials go into office later than usual, at 10 a.m., to give college applicants more room on the roads so they can get to their test sites on time. The day-long test takes place only once a year. Those students already have their acceptance letters through early admission only need to meet the minimum requirement scores, but for all the others, this is the D-Day to get into the college of their choices. Korea is among a list of countries where the results of the yearly national college entrance exam still make up a significant portion of the entrance requirements for college. European countries put more emphasis on high school diplomas and essays, and students in the U.S. can take the SAT multiple times and submit their best results. Korea's current college scholastic ability test is the result of dozens of revisions over the decades. There is more criteria taken into account now when universities are admitting students. It used to be that the individual college entrance exam or the results of a national scholastic achievement test was the sole decider.
A once-a-year national scholastic test has its merits. It's objective and all colleges are obliged to use a uniform result. But Korea's college admission process is relying less and less on the college scholastic ability test. It now takes more elements into account like other developed countries.
About 2/3 of high school seniors now enter college through early admissions, but for the rest, the regular admission process is their last shot. The result of CSAT is the most important factor here, and in some cases, it's the only factor.
It's not easy to apply for early admissions when you have to prepare so many things from recommendations to essays. So my son, who's taking the test again this year, studied with a regular admission in mind.
Korean high school seniors who do not succeed in entering the college of their choice can opt to give it another shot the following academic year. This year, 1 out of every 5 test takers will be taking it for a second time. Most of them have been attending private institutes called hagwons full-time to prepare.
It was tough to study for 1 more year, but for us students, it's better to keep the system and policies as they are than changing it too much.
Whether it's their first or second try, the test takers hope this will be the last time taking the CSATs and that they'll be enjoying college life at the university of their choice come this March.
And a big, huge exam this is. You heard the students, it's better for them, obviously, if you don't make too many changes in the policies as well as the test. But revisions are constantly being made. The only way these kids can study for it is through past questions from exams. What are some of the changes and the differences about this year's CSAT?
Yes, right. There has always been changes, big or small. And this is actually the first year that the students can actually choose which type they wish to take, and based on the difficulty of Korean, math, and English. And of course, there's 2 types, A and B. The A is easier and the B is more difficult one. And you cannot choose the same type between Korean and math because you have to decide on your strategy on which college you want to apply for. So, and your test site is also designated depending on which type you choose.
I'm just so glad that all of this is behind us right now. But let's talk about the making of the test. And this is a highly confidential procedure that could be likened to a 007 mission, right? Tell us about that.
Well, there are some other people who are also freed from locking up, from
more than the students, and that's of course the test writers who are locked up for nearly a month making the questions, and there are reviewers who are making sure the questions were valid. And it's of course to actually make it secure and making sure that no questions are leaked out anywhere. And for these people who are writing the questions, they're not allowed to go out or have cell phones or laptops or whatsoever that could communicate with the outside world. And it's interesting that they get a lot of pay, and they get like 300,000 won, which is about $300 a day, for being locked up and giving questions for this important test.
Okay, it's very important, the well-being and the future livelihood of these children.
You were telling us before the show that there is one exception with which they can get out of that locked up room.
So what is that exception?
Right. The only case that test writers can escape from their resort is that their related family, direct family, dies. And that's the only case you can get out from making the question for a few hours.
That secrecy, right?
Yeah,
it's just quite mind-boggling.
It's
really.
quite like a covert confidential operation, being in a remote location, brainstorming these tests. Thank you very much, Ji-sun, for this report.
You're welcome.
Well, I'm sure the students are settling in their classrooms as we speak, and it's probably dead quiet in those classrooms, but it's a whole new story outside those classrooms where juniors or those test takers are cheering on for those test takers,
That's right. So they have a lot of supporters and the seniors fan club that are on standby. We'll get a look at that with Lee Dami.
I'm back reporting live from Seoul High School, where here in Korea, all the seniors will be taking the College Scholastic Ability Test. And this morning, what we're seeing is a crowd of junior classmates cheering and just showing their support to the seniors. Some of the students have been early here, out and about, been here for a few hours supporting themselves. Let's go ahead and talk to one of the students. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, so what grade are you in?
I'm a second grade in high school.
Okay, so you're going to be taking the test next year.
Yes.
Okay, do you want to say anything to the seniors this morning?
I have to say good luck and fighting.
Okay, have fun today.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. The energy level is just amazing this morning. Just imagining that students like this are at 1,257 different locations or test sites just supporting and cheering on their seniors. Now, right now, we're actually seeing some of the posters right now. Most of the posters are actually representing the schools that the students are from and just saying, supporting and wishing college students the best luck. Now, here in my pocket, I have something right here that I want to show you. Now, every year, the College Scholastic Ability Test is taken here in Korea in the month of November. And passing on or giving out this Korean taffy, or what we call in Korean, yut, is one of the traditions. Now, it was passed back from the Joseon Dynasty because apparently scholars actually took a piece of yut before taking their government tests. And according to back in the Joseon Dynasty, the king himself actually ate some yut before taking his morning studies just to make his brain awake, because apparently the sugars in the yut helps fully vitalize the brain circulation, so it really helps one focus. Now, for today, taking the test is also important, but being on time and not being late for the test itself is crucial. So the Seoul government is actually established a special traffic countermeasure. So from the district office to community centers, there will be special transportation offered at subway stations and bus stops near test sites in case of an emergency. So test takers can ride for free to their test-taking sites if you request for the vehicles that have signs that say free transportation for test takers. All right, so this is your look at Seoul High School. I'm not even taking the test this morning, but I am super excited and very nervous for the seniors. I hope all of their dedication and hard work pays off for today. That's all I have for now. I'm Lee Dami, Korea Today.
I would have to differ. If you take too much yud, you might be sugar high during the test.
And jittery, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think she almost got in the way of a test taker. I hope
she
trying to get to the
interrupting,
testing site, right?
That's right. It is a busy site at the entrance of that school, as it is in every one of the 1,257 sites.
All right, time now for Design Korea, and today we're going to look at glass designs.
That's right. Korea's glass art has dated back to the 2nd century BC, and it is evolving with time. So we'll get a look at some of the glasswares with that traditional Korean flair.
Glassware is one of the most common forms of designs we come across every day. From tableware to architecture, glass is used to create all kinds of practical and artistic pieces. That's why, even in Korea, various glass designs have received much attention and interest for quite some time. Historically, Korea was home to advanced ceramic culture. Nonetheless, glassware has also been used extensively since a few thousand years ago, starting in the ancient Shilla dynasty. This is why ancient remnants of local glass in production have been found.
Koreans started to use glassware some 2,200 years ago. We have found ancient marble and tableware made out of glass that was used during the Three Kingdom period, and it looks like this glass culture entered ancient Korean society through various overseas business and trade.
Today, many glass designs exhibiting traditional and contemporary elements are being spotted here and there, such as a glass building modeled after the Korean traditional house hanok, and wooden doors, once created with Korean traditional paper hanji attached, have transformed into glass doors. Especially, the lids of Korean crocks, used to store traditional fermented foods like hot pepper and soybean pastes, have been transformed into glass lids. And these changes have been well received since more sunlight is able to penetrate the paste to speed up the fermenting process. This museum houses all kinds of different glass designs. Here, there are not only practical glass designs, but also creative glass artworks, serving as an innovative and relaxing rest area for many. Visitors can also easily familiarize themselves with unique glass designs featured in this museum. There's also a very special show that educates visitors how glass designs come to be. The first step of the glassware making process is to liquefy the glass raw materials with flames reaching up to 1,000 degrees Celsius. Then, the artisan forms the glass in diverse shapes and sizes while the heated form slowly cools off. Another key point in glass design is blowing in air to form various shapes. Depending on how hard the artisan blows, the size of the glass and shape also changes. In addition, the glass design can bear different shapes according to the diverse methods of cooling.
I think almost anything can be expressed and made through glass handicraft, because such glasswork is not only used in countless ways, but can also bear diverse colors and forms.
Glassware is durable and long-lasting as it doesn't scratch easily and the colors stay intact. Plus, as glassware doesn't emit toxic substances even with high temperatures, it has been used as a popular alternative to create diverse goods such as dinnerware, interior decors, artworks, and accessories. Not only that, more and more people are choosing to create their own glass pieces. Regardless of age or gender, many are trying to make their one-of-a-kind designed glassware with fire and liquefied glass elements.
It was really fascinating to see glass being made with fire.
It's amazing. I didn't really know the whole glass making process, but after seeing how it's made, I think I'll be looking at glass designs in a different light and appreciate them more.
At a special workshop, contemporary glass designs are being made with a Korean traditional twist. Glassritsen is a special handicraft that engraves unique shapes or images onto crystal and glass, and we were able to meet artisan Kim Joo-eun. Designer Kim is busy applying traditional Korean-themed images onto contemporary glass designs through Glassritsen.
I thought it would be a great idea to inscribe Korean traditional patterns onto the glass. I think such captivating Korean-themed glassritsen work is beautiful and competitive enough to survive in the international glass design market.
Glassritsen is an unconventional and unique design method that brings out the distinct beauty of Korean culture in a contemporary light. That's why one of the biggest perks of using such transformed glassware is the fact that users can easily and naturally come in contact with Korean aesthetics and traditions. Various Korean traditional images, such as the four gracious plants, signifying the spirit of classic Korean scholars, carps or dragons, which stand for longevity, as well as sophisticated Korean orchids, are beautifully drawn with a modern twist. Designer Kim hopes that these Glassritsen pieces, inscribed with pictorial records of Korean culture and traditions, will be sold in the global market. Kim's work, especially that featuring a Korean woman wearing a traditional royal wedding dress and a Korean garden, garnered a lot of interest from the domestic and international audience. Nowadays, many people who have been mesmerized by the Korean aesthetic beauty in glassware have signed up to learn more about the glassritzen handicraft. And as these prospective artisans carefully draw out Korean designs on glass with paper-thin pins, the future of Korean glassritzen continues to grow as well.
I'm totally taken aback by the fact that I can engrave Korean traditional images onto glassware. I think it's the best design method and craft work to decorate glass with.
Glass design that was once regarded as simple aesthetics featured in practical goods and artwork has now also become an integral element in promoting Korean traditional beauty. And with this, the world of beautiful glass design will continue to flourish and evolve over time.
And coming up later, surrounded by all sides of land, North Chungcheong Province is tucked away inland, offering its unique flavors. Shay My Nikki visits the region to try its unique dishes and go fishing at some scenic spots to catch freshwater fish. Stay tuned for that.
And a good Thursday morning to you all as we kick things off in the world of baseball. Now the season might be over, but the FA market has officially opened as 21 KBO players have been listed in the FA market. Now the KBO have announced the 21 players that are available to be signed by their teams starting on the 10th to the 16th. And once the deadline passes, any other teams are free to sign the players. Meanwhile, some of the biggest names in the league will be available, including Kang Min-ho of the Lotte Giants, Lee Yong-gyu of the Kia Tigers, and Chung Gun-woo of the SK Wyverns. At the same time, Samsung Lions closer Oh Seung-hwan and Kia Tigers ace Yoon Sung-min is set to go overseas next season. Well, shifting over to the WK League, which has been at the center of an ongoing controversy regarding the 6 teams who threatened to boycott the season if Park Geun-hye of Seoul City Hall doesn't get banned from the league. Now, the team is set to end the controversy as they have announced that they will hold a press conference later today. Even Seoul City Mayor Park Won-soon have come out stating that something will be done to stop all this. Park Geun-hye, who leads the league with 19 goals this season, has been accused of being a man, as many questioned her sex. Of course, this is the first time a female athlete was involved in such controversy, as Cassie Semenya of Kenya was involved with a similar incident. And now moving on to some Wednesday night's KBL action as the Ulsan Mobis Phoebus crushed Busan KT Sonic Boom 78-49 after outscoring them 26-4 in the fourth quarter. So with that said, let's take a look at the other game that took place last night. Jeonju KCC Aegis taking on Wonju Dongbu Promi. Now a close game from the start, but KCC's Tyler Wilkerson puts up 11 points in the quarter as KCC takes a 24-20 lead before heading into halftime with a comfortable 45-39 lead. Second half starts and Dongbu looking strong as Herbert Hill puts up 9 points in the quarter before Dongbu starts spreading the ball around more in the fourth. Exciting game here as the fourth quarter ends tied 83-83 and we're going over to overtime. Dongbu unable to use that momentum as Kang Byung-hyun lights it up in overtime as KCC hangs on to take this game 92-88 with rookie Kim Min-gu finishing off with 20 points. And moving over to some V-League action as KGC swept Korean Expressway 3-0 over on the women's side. Now, Nicole Fawcett's absence, the difference in the game as we now take a look at the men's side with Samsung Hwajae Blue Fangs taking on LIG. Now, the defending champions with that Yo Hyun this season, and that looked to be the difference as LIG penetrates Samsung's defense throughout the night. Samsung with only 50% attack rate on the night, but Thomas Egger of LIG tearing it up on the night, scored 44 points, leading LIG to a 3-1 victory over the Samsung Hwajae Blue Fangs. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day and see you guys again for your sports needs.
I mean, as you mentioned before, it is Ipdong today, this day, which means it's technically the beginning of winter. But before it really does get very cold and chilly out there, you can partake in some outdoor activities. And today we're going to be taken to the only landlocked province in Korea. Shea Nikki joins us. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. I actually went to the Chungcheongbuk-do area, and this area is known for mineral water and freshwater, like freshwater fish and freshwater restaurants. And these restaurants were picked by the Korean Tourism Organization. And luckily, I was able to explore these areas. And in my report, I have some special things to show you guys. So let's check it out.
North Chungcheong Province is the only landlocked provincial area in Korea. Because of this, the central region has been, for many years, Korea's hub of diverse cultural exchange. This region is also an important transportation hub, as several national expressways and railroads go through the area. It only takes 2 hours by car from Seoul, or you can take a bus from Dong-Seoul Terminal or a train from Seoul Station to arrive at Okcheon in less than 2 hours. For our first food-themed travel, we started Okcheong-gun, North Chungcheong Province. More specifically, Cheongsangmyeon is hailed the breadbasket of Okcheon. This is due to this clear and long body of water, Bocheong Stream, which nourishes the fields. There's another perk of being close to the Bocheong Stream, and it's the abundance of freshwater fish. This is why the Okcheong area offers various kinds of freshwater fish dishes, and is known for its restaurants that serve these special cuisines.
안녕하세요.
First, I decide to order the region's representative dish called Doribangbang. Doribangbang refers to a circular displayed freshwater fish dish that has been entirely fried and dipped in a hot pepper pasta sauce. Definitely looks different from the average fish and chips. Curious how it would taste.
Not that spicy, crunchy. Has that pan-fried taste to it. And kind of buttery. It tastes like very buttery.
Normally, minnows are used to make doribangbang. Minnows are small freshwater fish of the Saprkling family, largely found in Korea. But for years, these tiny minnows were regarded as luxuries to the inland people, since seafood was scarce. From this dish, you can see the wisdom of the Okcheon people, putting a lot of effort and thought into cooking even the smallest of fish. Along with doribangbang, there's another dish dubbed Okcheong's representative cuisine. The flour noodles are cooked to perfection with seasonal freshwater fish broth. It's none other than fish noodles. Just from the looks of it, the dish doesn't look any different, but the broth is what sets it apart. The soup is made by boiling whole freshwater fish for a long time until their bones are cooked through.
Wow. How long does it take for the fish to boil?
끓기 시작해서 한 6시간에서 7시간 정도 푹 끓이는 거예요.
There's no longer a fishy smell or taste in the dish.
It's actually kind of thick and thick sauce, and it's a lot spicier than the fish. Wow.
The fish noodle is also a nostalgic dish.
I actually have never had this before. Do you guys try this a lot? Have you guys eat this? Do you eat this often?
예, 우리가 직접 내과에 가서 놀이 싸는 거. 국물 투망 던져가지고 잡아가져서 우리가 손수해 먹지.
During difficult times, people were able to create great dishes even with the little ingredients they had. So in the North Chungcheong area, they made a lot of creative ways of feeding itself, and the fish that I just had was a really good representation of how they did so. After another 1.5 hour drive, Jincheon-gun in North Chungcheong Province appears. While you are here, there's a bridge you have to check out. This stone bridge called Jincheongbuk-do may seem like it was randomly built, but it's actually an important Korean cultural tangible asset. This may look like a mound of rocks, but this is an actual bridge that has survived over 1,000 years of bad weather and high water. I'm curious as to how it's been around for such a long time. And once I look closely, I can tell that the round pillar stones function as piers to diverge the strong currents and stop whirlpools from forming. And the science behind this bridge makes it one of the oldest in the East. Passing the bridge, I walk another 200 meters or so. And I arrive at a lake in the middle of the woods known as the Chungcheongbuk Reservoir. Many fishermen visit this area to not only catch fish, but enjoy the scenery. This place was built for lots of the farming lands, and this reservoir was also built for all the agriculture in the area. But now it is a big fishing place and very popular among the tourists. 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. So there are a lot of little shops for people to rent out various fishing gears. All right, let's get ready to go fishing. For the first time, I decide to try out fishing. What are the best types of fish in here to catch?
여기는 이제 주로 베스하고 붕어, 메기 같은 거 좀 많이 나오죠.
붕어?
네.
Here, similar to other fishing waters in Korea, people do not need licenses to catch fish. With high hopes, I continue to wait for a fish to bite my bait, but it's not as easy as it seems. I haven't caught one fish. I may be bad at this fishing game. At Chungcheongbuk Reservoir, dubbed the Central Region's best fishing ground, even first-timers are known to catch at least one or two fish. To make my wait even worse, it starts to rain. I guess today just isn't my fishing day. And so, I make my way out to Carp Village near the reservoir. This area came to be when small restaurants serving steamed carp dishes popped up here and there. Out of the 20-some restaurants, I chose one and ordered a steamed carp. At first, I thought it was going to be very spicy, since all I could see was red sauce. The key to cooking a delicious steamed carp dish is to get rid of the fishy smell with a special sauce and ingredients. That's why it seems like there are many more ingredients besides the actual carp.
붕어는 이거는 장가시가 많습니다. 그래서 조심해서 드셔야 돼요.
Okay. 감사합니다. Alright, this looks incredibly spicy, but it looks very healthy too though. There's lots of vegetables, lots of different types of vegetables in here, and a very big fish. I want to eat it quickly, but I can't because there are lots of small bones. Once I finally get a real bite, I'm surprised the dish is not as spicy as expected. This is not as spicy as I thought it would be. It's actually a little sweet. There's a little sweetness to it. And the fish is really tender. It's really easy to eat into, but you do have to be careful with the many little bones. Steamed carp dishes have been featured in old literature as exceptionally healthy meals. So it seems like freshwater dishes were not just an alternative for seafood. One of the best things about traveling to unfamiliar places is trying out the region's specialty dishes. Although my trip to North Chungcheong province was short, I feel like my mind and my body are healthier already.
Healthier Shui in the studio, but if it wasn't for the rain, you would say you would have caught some fish.
Yeah.
Blame the rain.
Yeah, blame the rain. Blame it all on the rain, right?
That's what I'm doing because I'm actually not a very good fisherman. But the reservoir area was really nice, very big. There's plenty of good spots to go fishing, and as we saw in the video, there's lots of people that have caught very big fish in the area.
Right.
So definitely, if you're in the area, definitely check it out.
Tell us more about this Tori Beng Beng. I've never tried Tori Beng Beng. What an interesting name.
Yeah, it's first for me.
Right? Spicy. It's got a lot of bones.
It's like just a minnow, and first of all, the name is incredible. I love the name, but like Tori Beng Beng. But the minnows were really easy to eat, and it kind of reminded me of American fish sticks in a way, because it was a little crunchy. and
Deep fried.
Deep fried, yeah. And it looked very spicy, but it wasn't really overwhelming. So.
Yeah, sounds good. But so if you do go to the Dori Bang Bang Fish Noodle Street and also the Cart Village, there must be a lot of restaurants that offer similar menus. How do you choose?
Well, actually, thankfully, the Korean Tourism Organization has a website that they can throw out there, and they pick the best places to go. But even if they do have like similar menus, all of the places are very tasty, the quality is very good, and everything is fantastic. So. And we were lucky enough to go to really 2 good spots that had great food. So.
I thought he was gonna say flip the coins.
Right,
decide which ones to go to.
Fate, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Shay, for that story.
No problem.
And if you don't mind, would you like to stay behind for a little birthday
you get
party?
to stay behind, I think, because
Nahyang-gyung.
That's right.
Happy birthday! Your
Birthday
birthday cake is ready for you on the 6th floor.
Oh my God!
The Sunung test takers had to steal the thunder.
Yeah, they stole
your
the thunder. But happy 20th birthday!
That
love
is
you.
the greatest news I've heard today. Thank you very much.
All right. Well. Yeah, it is a big day for the Sunung test takers.
It sure is. It sure is. Testing begins at 8:40 in these locations. So if you're on your way there, good luck to you, and we wish you the best. Right?
Fighting again, all of us. How you take part in this too? Okay, all right.
1, 2, 3. Fighting! All right, fighting to all you taking the Sunung today. Good luck.
Thank you for watching, and please join us again same time tomorrow.
We'll see you back here tomorrow. Bye bye.